Chair, we have a quorum.
Great. Should we leave another 1 or 2 minutes for stragglers? Let's just get started. Get some of the light stuff out of the way. All right, this is John Moore. I'll call the meeting to order and start, Brenda, with a roll call, if you would.
Board Member Freeman. Present. I'm sorry, I can hear you. Board Member Jolie. Present. Board Member Kelly. Present. Board Member Mercier. Board Member Ridley.
Present.
Council Member Russell. Present. Council Member Wright. Mayor Sierra.
Present.
Vice Chair Goreski.
Present.
Chair Moore.
Present. Very good. Welcome, everybody. Item 4, we'll start with the consideration of the minutes from the July 8th meeting of the board. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Wonderful. Any edits or comments? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Motion carries. Next up is public comment. Brenda, do we have anyone from the public to address us tonight?
No, we do not.
All right. Then we will move on to item 6A, approval of compliance agreement for Denver Water interconnections. And I believe Cliff Stevens will take it from here.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Cliff Stevens, engineering supervisor with utilities. And today I'm bringing before the board 2 items. They both have to do with the Denver Water Emergency Interconnection Project. So a little background. We have previously had connections with Denver Water. They've all been abandoned. They didn't really serve our needs that good. You can see on the right, we have a map there. Denver Water's service area is bounded in red. We're the little donut hole in blue. And, sorry. And so, we're kind of on our own here as far as providing water to the city. This project, this has been ongoing for a few years. It's been a high priority for both the city and the water department. As part of our strategic plan. And in April 2024, we executed an intergovernmental agreement with Denver Water that just set kind of the base terms for these. And so as part of that, we have identified 2 connection points which serve both of our pressure zones in the city here. Those will supply 100% of our water in case we have an emergency where we can't deliver water to the city. The first thing we're doing here is a compliance agreement, and this is a requirement from Denver Water that we need to approve. And it basically sets down the rules for these 2 interconnects. They say that we need to comply with their rules and their standards, kind of obviously. The design has been done by a licensed engineer, and we do have a contractor on board who's a pre-qualified contractor with Denver Water, which we'll get to with the next item. We're going to need to do a pre-construction meeting. We've had several meetings with Denver Water through this design. Review and inspection fees we need to pay. It also covers our responsibilities as far as keeping their infrastructure secure, and we need to warranty and it defines ownership. And it also retains their rights that Vicki can probably talk to more too, but so anyway, that's it in a nutshell. Are there any questions around that?
Cliff, this John. Just I'm a little curious on the history. You mentioned there's a bunch. We had interconnections that were decommissioned. Do you have the short story history lesson on that part?
Well, that was well before our time, but my understanding is that a number of them were inoperable in the first place. And also, they could not provide the full capacity that we would need to feed in the entire city.
And then now we're able to feed the entire city with just two interconnections. Is that if our entire what would be the kind of event that would trigger this?
If we were to have, this is for kind of a catastrophic emergency.
Yeah.
If we had problems at the treatment plant, if there was some sort of contamination event, or any of our large diameter transmission lines were to have a large break, then we could activate these and fix what we needed to fix and get us back online while still serving the city.
Yeah, the thing I'll add to this is a backup plan. So from when I think about this, most importantly is the Allen Water Treatment Plant. So the Allen Water Treatment Plant is the only treatment plant that we have for the city. And if something catastrophically goes wrong at the Allen Water Treatment Plant, we don't have a way to treat water and supply it to our customers. And we've had that single point vulnerability for the existence of Englewood Utilities. Given just infrastructure failures in general and the possibility of them, this creates a backup plan for that most critical piece of infrastructure, which is the treatment plant. It also helps if there's something wrong with City Ditch. It helps if we lose the pump station that pumps water from Union Avenue. All of these critical elements that were the single point of failure for the system now have an overarching backup plan, because we can still supply water to our customers while we're fixing the system. Sarah and Josh and I were talking about this earlier, Deputy Director Stone and Deputy Director Roach. We're talking about this earlier today. This, in our mind, is the most important project from a resiliency perspective for the water system. We can all breathe a little bit easier and have a little bit more, sleep a little bit, more comfortably at night, knowing that this kind of system is complete and in place. And so as I think about the overarching priority of all the projects and improvements that we're making to the system, this is the most critical from a resiliency perspective and a redundancy perspective. So I think we're really excited to be here in terms of what it means for the Englewood water system.
Echo those thoughts, Peter. I think this is a tremendous improvement in our setup. Any other questions?
Yes,
And
I do.
I can't necessarily see hands, so just jump in.
Okay, thank you. It explains Denver Water retains rights under the Colorado Governmental Immunity Act. Can you describe what that means?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear the first part.
Denver Water retains rights under the Colorado Governmental.
Oh, the
Immunity
governmental.
Act.
Yeah, okay. So the Intergovernmental Immunity Act, local governments and different political subdivisions like Denver Water, the city of Englewood, we retain immunity for certain kinds of actions under Colorado law. So a lot of times in our intergovernmental agreements, both bodies will include standard language to make clear that neither party waives those immunities and those protections in the event if there's any liability issue under the agreement.
So, but if that's the case, shouldn't it say Denver Water retains the rights, including Englewood? Because both communities are following the same rules. Then why is it that just mentioning Denver rights?
Well, it should be for both parties to understand that the city, meaning the city of Englewood and Denver Water,
Correct,
are subject to those requirements
right.
to retain it.
So the way I read this, it seems like that Denver Water has more power over Englewood. Am I reading this correctly? But that's based on a condition that I don't understand what is the Colorado Governmental Immunity Act is.
I appreciate that. The way it's phrased in Section 10 is no term or condition of this agreement shall be construed or interpreted as a waiver of the Intergovernmental Immunity Act, meaning that it does apply to both parties, not specifically to Denver Water. And as a governmental entity, in addition to Denver Water, the city would be entitled to continue to assert those state law rights.
So what it basically means is that for that provision, we're equal. But functionally, this
Denver
is
has-
Denver helping out Englewood substantially.
So,
And they don't have to do this. We have worked with them over the course of several years to build a relationship such that they are agreeing to help Englewood Utilities out with a backup to our systems, because the alternative is we build a backup plant, we build a backup pump
Correct.
station, we spend hundreds of millions of dollars on infrastructure versus this connection. So
then
we derive the majority of the benefit. They don't really.
So then that raises another question in my mind. So if there is this, we're helping each other, or they're just helping us?
Well, we theoretically could help each other. However, they help us a lot more than we help them because of just the sheer magnitude of our systems.
So if an emergency rises that affects us, this could be like the infection, like the E. coli or contamination. I'm just trying to find some scenario. So let's say there was some sort of catastrophic situation that affected Denver and Englewood. So does that mean that Denver has the right to refuse to help us?
Yeah, so I mean, if their systems don't have the capacity to help us, then if it's affecting both of us in that type of approach, I mean, they have to have the ability to
Correct.
help us. Really, if you back way up on this again, if we're talking about most primarily the Allen Water Plant.
Possibilities.
So if it's the Allen Water Plant, it's the Union Ave Pump Station, it's City Ditch. It's those main lifelines to our water system delivery that this is designed to back up and provide a resiliency for. If there's a larger metro area problem,
We are
who
in
knows
trouble.
what happens at that point in time? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So can I ask a question also? This is mostly about location. Are both of the interconnect points on Clarkson, but they're at different points on Clarkson, or just off of Clarkson?
They are at two different points along Clarkson, and that's so that we can feed each of our pressure zones separately.
Okay, so one of them is between Oxford and Nassau. Where is the other one at?
There's one at Oxford and Clarkson, and the other one is at Oxford and Shenango.
Okay,
And the actual interconnection is in Shenango, but we need to do a lot of work in Clarkson to connect to Denver Water.
okay, I appreciate that. And then, so in Marjan's question, Denver, do they have a lot more than one water treatment plant?
They have several.
Okay, so they don't have to worry about somebody, if they have a failure in one place, they just get it from a different plant in the city.
Yeah, they can move water around their system, and they have multiple water plants. They have multiple supply source of supply systems because they are such a massive entity. Englewood, just purely by size, has one plant, two source locations for water supply.
Okay, thank you. And this is just a comment, and I don't know if this is correct. So the PowerPoint is really staff putting together abbreviated, like what City Attorney McDermott was saying was what the actual law is in the ordinance or in the contract.
Yeah, that's correct. I have not prepared the PowerPoint, but that's my understanding that staff has taken the language from the PowerPoint and put it into a summary fashion, but the actual language within the agreement to comply with Denver Water Plan review responsibilities that section 10 isn't about Denver water retains, it's that equal right. So the language in the agreement is different than
Right, so
summarized.
this doesn't, that's part of the reason maybe for the misunderstanding. It's not the actual wording in the agreement.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's not that it doesn't include all the details, because we, when we do PowerPoints, we try to bullet them, because otherwise our PowerPoints would be much longer than they are right now.
We'd be here all night.
We might be here a little while. Thank you.
Any further questions? All right. Can I get a motion for item 6A as written?
I move.
I'll second.
Wonderful. All in favor, please say aye. Or I'm sorry, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. On to item 6B, and still with Cliff Stevens.
And same project, this is for the actual construction of these two interties. Same slide, it looks like. So we put it on an RFP for this construction in May, and we received 3 proposals. They're up there, American West, T. Lowell, and BT. These are all pre-approved Denver Water contractors. And they're all very well grouped, you can see. And we ended up selecting T. Lowell. And the reason we did that, they weren't the lowest price, but we thought they had the best approach and understanding. And they've done several high-profile projects within Denver that were very difficult construction, which this will be, in high-profile areas. We thought their schedule reflected our best shot at getting these done. And those were our main reasons that we chose them. The project cost is $5.257 million. We're asking for a 10% contingency, so that brings it to $5.78 million. Are there any questions?
Jump in if so. All right, I'll go ahead and take a motion for item 6B as written.
So moved.
Second.
Great. Any further discussion? All right, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Item 6C, Peter, I believe.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We're back again with a finalized budget. We've presented drafts of this throughout the course of the last several months, and so this is more just the final time that we'll bring it to the board before it moves on to council and through the council approval process. And so I'm going to go pretty fast on this because you've seen all this already. But if there's something that you want me to focus a little bit more on at some point, please don't hesitate to let me know. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the water fund, the sewer fund, and the stormwater fund. I'll handle the water and sewer fund, and Director Rochelle is here to handle the stormwater fund. We've talked about this before. The water system serves the city of Englewood, and the wastewater is the northern 2/3 of the city. Goals is to modernize the utility and improve customer experience. You can see some of the projects we've talked about. Structurally, we have 63 FTEs. This is how they're set up. Director, 3 different divisions. 2 deputy directors cover those 3 different divisions. We report through the Water and Sewer Board to council. And then my role also chairs as the president of the EMRF board. We connect mainly to infrastructure, but safety, sustainability, community well-being, all those are impacted as well. The water, our focus from a water and sewer perspective, taste, owner hardness continue to be one of our key priorities. Lead service line replacements is an ongoing important project that we are nearing the halfway point on, and then continuing to reinvest in aging infrastructure. We're over 1,200 lines replaced on the lead program. City Ditch is now under construction, and we just talked about the Denver Water Interconnect, so that's good news. So the water fund, you can see where we have a overall, we're moving from about 53.7 million to 54 million. And this all generally has, the reason numbers have changed since we last saw them is we have better timing as it relates to execution of the capital budget. So that's what those red indicate, is more dialed in on those operational, or I mean on those capital projects. It's really about timing. We have the original budget, the amount spent, return to fund balance. Remember, anything in the water enterprise fund goes back to the water enterprise fund, and then we reprogram it. We have to do this annually where we reprogram. And so part of the reason why you always see these numbers change is because we're predicting what's going to happen as far as 15 months in advance of when it actually happens. And so we try to get it as good as possible, but keeping in mind that if it goes back to the fund balance, we just reprogram it, and it's not it goes to those projects that may have delayed in timing. Our budget proposal, like we talked about, here's how it breaks down. Personnel goes up slightly. Commodities, it goes up a good amount. Contractual services goes down. And then capital is, again, this is the main project we're working on is the lead replacement program, but we also have WIFIA funded projects that are now in the construction phase, one of which we just talked about, which is the Denver Water Interconnects, for a total budget of 54 million, which is a 1% increase. If you remember when we talk about the mountain graphs, which is our financing graphs, we hit a peak. We're in that peak right now in execution, and so we should start to see these numbers come down once we fully spend the money through SRF and WIFIA. So we have updated the capital timing. The projects are generally the same, but you can see a little bit more detail in some of them, and where they fall in terms of timing and funding amount. And you can see to the left-hand column, that tells you the source. So if it's WIFIA funded, that means that 49% of these projects are, of this programmatic is funded through WIFIA, and then the other 51% is funded through other aspects, mainly the SRF. And that puts together the total financing between those two debt instruments, so that we don't put all kinds of pressure on rates. You can see some of the projects that are funded through just fund balance cash. The most significant of those is City Ditch Piping Project, which we've finally gotten some good determination on the construction costs. If you recall, we've talked about the fact that for a couple of years we had been concerned that the CMGC approach was costing too much, and we went out to bid and saved close to $5 million by going out to the street. So that was an important step to look at that approach. But you see, the capital 26 is the next is still a heavy capital year, but then 27, 28, 29, it starts to drop and stabilize more in that $5 to $6 million range. And then you can see the total for 26 is right around 35 million. We anticipate by the end of 26, the lead program will be done. Some of these projects might move a little bit into 27. So when we're here this time next year, that number could be going up because of just delayed construction timing, things like that. No enhancements. We're just executing according to the plan that we've talked about several times. Our revenue proposal is according to the financial models that we actually talked to council last night at the study session of how we developed all this. So it's 4.5% rate increase, a 3.72 increase to the water connection fee, which is based on Engineering News Record Construction Cost Index average. Capital investment fee stays the same, and drinking water loan fee stays the same. And that one always stays the same, whereas capital investment goes up $1 every other year. This is one of the years it doesn't go up. So 4.5% means $1.08 per month for a typical user. So it's about $1 a month for the water for a typical user. Any questions on water? Okay, Chair, I'll keep going if that works. Okay. On the sewer side, similarly, we've made some changes based on better information. Our operational numbers go down and our capital number goes up slightly, so a net of reduction of about 7%. And so we move from about 30 million to 28 million. And that has to do primarily with the capital program at SPR. And last year we were executing more of a capital program because of some of the projects we just are executing less this year. And what we do is we take that information to smooth the effect on the rates over the course of a 5-year period. So it's going down for next year, but it goes up and down over the next several years. So you can see we only returned about 2.3 million to fund balance, and that's largely because the capital expenditure through SPR. I think we hit 97% execution of the capital program last year, which means we executed almost all of what we requested, and then we came in a little bit under on some of the commodities and personnel and things like that. We had savings. But overall, we returned far less than we returned in past years because we've dialed in that capital execution. New budget for 2026, you can see it goes down slightly related to capital reduction. And so when we look at the program as a whole, actually, let me correct that. The main reason that it goes down so much is debt service. Our capital does move up and down, but we retired debt this year that we've been paying on one of the sewer loans. So if you look at the last line, it goes from 4 million to 0. That's what's causing the overall net reduction. The capital does go up some, but it's still less than the amended budget for last year. So I need to make sure to point that out. It's because of that retirement of that debt that was issued back, I believe, in 2008-ish, somewhere in there, for the expansion work that was done at South Platte Renew. So that's good news that we've that's gone. You can see some of the overall changes to some of the sewer fund utilities projects, which are largely in the proportionate share of the improvements for the building work that we're doing at the service center, and then the building work we're doing at the Allen Water Treatment Plant. And then we have an ongoing investment amount for sewer pipe and manhole rehab. And if you recall, several months back, we're targeting a lot of that money towards some of those instances where we have sewer interceptors that run under houses and in backyards, and trying to fix some of that. So that'll end up being a multi-year programmatic approach. We're addressing the first one here. We believe construction will start in the next couple months. That will take care of that first one that came up probably 9 months ago. We're actually going to fix that one for the 6 homeowners that have had a historic problem, but it's all in the same area where we've talked about the way the system was developed, and then the houses were built on top of the system. It's not how we plan today, but back then it, was a bit of an oversight. No enhancements. Again, we're following plan for both SPR and utilities. And then revenue, 4.5%, again, meets those financial models that we talked about. Again, about $1 a month. Outside sewer rates, you can see where they move from 4.5 for based on the different services that we provide and how they move up based on that outside rate structure. And then we follow the same construction cost index for engineering news record for the connection fees. So how's it look overall? So this is all the water, sewer, storm comparison as best we can to a number of our Front Range comparisons. And keep in mind that this is our proposed 2026 rates compared to their current 2025 rates. The assumption is that many, if not all of these, will have some kind of a rate increase, and we'll update that once we know their rate increases and we can recalculate based on their approved rates. So we keep this up to date year to year, but you can see we moved a little bit to the right, but once the increases occur, we think we'll move back to far left, and that's for an average about 6,000 gallons. So if you think of about a full year average of water usage, whether you're using a low amount during the winter and more for summer usage during the 4 or 5 months, 600 does kind of hit an average amount for the year. If you use less water because of our rate structure, it actually ends up moving us to the right. But again, if you keep in mind how close we are when those other rate increases occur, we anticipate that we'll shift back to the left and be on the lower end. And then if you use a lot of water in Englewood, we stay well to the left because of the way our rate structure is set up. But this does look at water, sewer, and storm because we look at the total bill. And what we try to do is we try to compare it as closely as possible to other entities that have funding through their property tax. And so you can see that orange mill levy. A good example of this is Platte Canyon. You can see the water, the sewer is low, but there's a mill levy portion that funds their water and sewer system. And so to compare apples to apples of what people are actually paying on a monthly basis, we take that number, divide it by 12, and then stack it on top to get as good a comparison as we can. So we're always paying attention to affordability, and we're looking at all three utilities as when we're doing this. And you can see that if you're using 10,000 gallons in the Front Range, what are we, $43 under the average. And then some of them are really, really high, depending if you live in some of those areas that are newly developed. Questions on sewer?
I have a question, but what's the difference between the mill levy and the stormwater?
So the stormwater is the stormwater charge that so for Englewood, we have a stormwater charge that's in the bill that we send through the utility bill. The mill levy is what some districts, so water districts, will put on your property tax. So if you're in that district, you have a property tax mill that generates money that you pay through your property taxes annually that then gets transferred to the water entity. And so it's collected through the property tax process, and then that money is distributed to the water utility by the county.
So is it correct to say that they don't have a general way of collecting that, the stormwater, and it just dumps to the river? Is that what it means?
No, they're two different things. So the mill levy is typically for water. Well, it's complicated. Mm-hmm. So there are many different ways to charge for this. There are the direct charges through the bill, which is how Englewood does it. So we have a water charge, we have a sewer charge, and we have a stormwater charge. Many of those that you see up there that have the blue, the green, and the purple, that's charging a water, a sewer, and a stormwater. Right. Now, some of the ones that you see that have a water and a sewer and then an orange, it's not necessarily replacing stormwater. It's saying that part of what's funding water and sewer is taxes. And so if you don't see orange on a graph there.
I noticed the Pioneer had it. So in my mind, I'm trying to find is the physical difference, but you're saying it's just a form of charging. It's the same concept of collection, but it's different application of charging people.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And so where it becomes challenging is is when someone, reaches out to a constituent or someone else and says, oh, my water bill is all, is far less than yours in Englewood. But what's forgotten is that they're paying an annual property tax every
That is
year.
divided.
Exactly. And so what we've worked really hard over last year is to try and compare apples to apples. Part of the other challenge is stormwater charging boundaries are often different than water and wastewater charging boundaries. And so we're trying to, they don't always coincide.
Got it. Thank you for explaining.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for the question. Okay, Chair, I'm going to turn this over to Director Rochelle.
Agreed.
Thank you, Peter. Good afternoon, everyone. Victor Rochelle, Director of Public Works. We're going to cover the Stormwater Enterprise Fund here. So just a quick overview. As Peter mentioned, we've already gone through the lion's share of this, so we'll quickly run through it. Happy to answer any questions. So you get our mission there and some photos of recent efforts that we've taken inside the city. The Stormwater Division is currently funding 7.25 positions, including some in utilities, utility billing, as well as our program manager and stormwater team. The team comprises and takes care of 4 primary areas. You got the system maintenance, planning and prioritization, capital projects, and then program funding. There's our connection to the strategic plan in stormwater. Primarily is going to be around the infrastructure and community well-being. When we look at our funds return to balance for 2024, you'll see there's a pretty decent sized number, just a hair under 8 million returned. The lion's share of that is the capital budget in 2024. We did not complete the South Englewood flood reduction. That project extended into 2025, which is why those funds were returned to the fund balance and then re-encumbered again in 2025 as we close out that project. Our 2026 proposal. So just quickly, our funding sources, we see about 3.7 in user fees. We had 10 million in bonds in 2021, 26 million in the water pollution revolving fund. That helped fund the South Englewood flood reduction. We have several projects with Mile High Flood District, which are 50-50 matched through intergovernmental or IGA agreements. And then there is a proposed rate fee increase, which you saw previously, and we'll cover here in just a second for 2025 and 6. So for 26, here's our current proposal. We are seeing a small decrease in capital there. That is primarily due to, again, the South Englewood flood reduction project being done. There is an increase in debt service. That's because we have now completed that project utilizing the debt and we'll begin paying on that. Overall, there's a total increase of 5.5% or a little over 400,000 for 2026. Our capital projects, a few adjustments here from what you saw last time. Those adjustments are in red. The adjustments were made in collaboration with the Mile High Flood District and making sure that we're aligned with their budget and advancing these projects. So a small decrease in line 1, then we added line 4, and then updated line 5. And then our revenue proposal is a 4.5% increase, which comes out to just a hair under $1 per user. And this helps continue fund projects and keep up with inflation and cost increases that we see when it comes to projects inside stormwater. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Not hearing any.
All right, not hearing any. Thank you, and I'll pass it back to utilities.
Peter, I'll move to a motion unless you have something else.
No, I think we're ready for that, Chair. So,
Okay.
Yes.
Could I get a motion for item 6C as written?
So moved.
A second.
Perfect. All right. Any further discussion? All right. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We do not have any old business under item 7. Back to staff's choice. Peter, I think you're running with this part.
Yeah, so our first item is an item that we talked about probably about a year ago, and I'm gonna turn this over to. Oh wait, I think it's right here. Okay. There you go. Sorry. This is something we talked about a year ago, and I'm going to turn this over to Sarah and her team to talk about what we've done. And this is in response to some of the concerns about, how bills were showing up and how can people verify what their usage was. And we said we would look at it and create something to fix that. Well, we've been working in the background, and we've created something that we think fixes that. So I'm going to turn this over to Sarah. She will more eloquently describe what we've done.
We'll see. Good evening, everyone. Sarah Stone, Deputy Director for Business Solutions and Engineering. To my left here is Sarah Wozniak with Hazen and Sawyer. She's a digital solutions developer. There's also a couple other Hazen representatives in the audience. So again, as Peter mentioned, we committed to developing a billing system dashboard that we could really use as a tool to ultimately improve customer service. So as you all remember, when we were going live with the new billing system, there were a lot of challenges with that, as well as we initiated our AMI meter replacement program. And so there were questions from the community, from you all, from council, as to the integrity of the bills and what we were getting out of that system. So this is in response to that. So a little additional background and purpose. We contracted with Hazen to build a dynamic billing system tool that really allowed us to dig in very quickly and compare trends before the billing system was implemented and after. So we can take a look at water usage system-wide down to the individual customer of any customer class. We can look at water as well as their service charges. So every single charge that shows up on their utility bill. We can also take a look at monthly customer activity and use it to identify any anomalies with water usage or a bill over a monthly basis. So we think it will enhance billing transparency and support improved customer service. And as we mentioned, this was a commitment we made back, I think, in the fall of last year, to be able to have a tool that compares, okay, where were we per customer before the AMI project and before the billing system was implemented to where we are now that those systems are in place and billing monthly. So I just want to walk through a couple things from a high level on the billing system dashboard, and then I'll turn it over to Sarah to walk through more specifics of what this billing tool can do. So the top part of the dashboard, it shows us the charges for services. So you can see that we've marked the line where the billing system went live, and we started billing out of the new system in August of 2024. So those colors change on the dashboard, but they're showing the same thing. So this is every aspect of the bill, from the water charge to the sewer charge, stormwater charge, and then if there's an admin fee as part of the water charge, there's also the capital improvement fee, and if there's a flat rate customer, those are shown there as well. And just underneath that on the dashboard is the consumption. So this shows what we would expect. So using data back through 2023, you can see in the winter months it's lower, and then increases in those summer months, and then decreases back in the months fall and leading into the new year. So one of the things I'd point out just after the billing system went live there in September 2024, it looks like it drops down. So that's when we had some of those AMI timing issues where folks were getting billed for multiple months of usage due to the delay in timing and getting their meter into the system. So it helps us identify that, but then see as an overall trend, this is what we would expect for water consumption. I will turn it over to Sarah to walk through the tool.
Yeah, so to develop the tool, we took multiple data exports from Englewood's billing system in the form of Excel files like the one that you see on the left here, And we use these files to develop a dynamic and interactive Power BI dashboard. So over on the right, I'll just point out what Sarah's gone over. In that upper visual, you have the bill amounts chart. Below it, the consumption chart. Over to the right is a billing breakdown table. And then over on the left is a filter pane that gives just some more functionality to the tool. So now let's explore what I mean when I say the dashboard is dynamic. So here you can see at the initial view, all of the data is summarized at the monthly level. When the user clicks any button within the Summarize By menu, you can see that it can also be aggregated at the quarterly level as well as the annual level. This drop-down here also lets the user include or exclude any time periods that they want to compare within the visuals. Even further, they have the ability to filter by account type, rate detail, rate ID, and zone. So here I'm just showing that all of these drop-downs are multi-selectable, and as I select each one, you can see how the visuals dynamically adapt to only accommodate accounts that fit these criteria. This is displayed how this tool can be used to view overall trends and give insights into trends of a subset of accounts, but it can also be used to hone in on a single account. So from a customer service perspective, this allows the Englewood staff to search a single account number or street address, and in doing so, all of the visuals and the table on the right will all filter down to that one account's data. So from this clip, we have blurred. Is it backward? Okay. So in this clip, we've blurred the account number that's being searched, but you'll see upon searching, all of those visuals filter down. The user can then go over to the billing breakdown table and expand into any historical monthly bill that they want to view at a more granular level. You can see there it breaks it down by the rate detail, so admin fee, capital improvement fee, and then monthly water usage. They can also hover over any of those bars within the visuals, and it'll give a tooltip pop-up that just gives a little bit more insight to that month that they're hovering over. So in this specific example, it's a good use case to see that the trends between 2023 through 2025 stay similar. There's a little bit of an increase in that 2024 period, which can be expected because of the 2023 year being such a wet year. But with that, I'll hand it back to Sarah to go into some more detail on another account.
So we wanted to provide an example where there was a customer that was charged, or that wasn't charged for water during 1 month. So in December of 2024, this particular customer did not have a water charge. That is due to when their meter was retrofitted through the AMI program. So that due to that timing, that water use from December moved into January, where they were billed for essentially 2 months of usage. So in January of 2025, they were billed for usage of 10,000 gallons. And then you can see in February that usage stabilized to what is typically seen for that customer during the winter. So this tool, again, allows us to see that visually very easily. And then if you look on the upper graph, the December 2024 bill is lower because they were not charged for water at that point in time. So we plan to use this as a customer service tool in that we can take screenshots of this, send it to the customer, print it out for the customer to then show them their water usage over time as well as their charge amounts over time. So just to summarize the benefits of this tool, billing staff can use this to really quickly access historical usage and usage data, as well as explain charges to customers. This gives customers a visual of their water use trends. It adds to transparency in billing. For the utilities management, it's really a way to use the data for insights into consumption trends or access additional information on how we're collecting revenue over time. I think from a system-wide perspective, it's really useful in that manner. And so our next step is to roll this out to customer service staff. We can update this tool very easily with an export from the billing system. So this chart on the bottom will continue to build out as as we move monthly for water and sewer charges. With that, I'll open it up for any questions.
I'll just add, I want to add two things on this. So this pulls from the old system and the new system to create a continuous usage profile for 3 years for the customer. And so one of the challenges that we had was we would be explaining to a customer what their previous billing information was, and it'd come out in an Excel table, and then they'd have to somehow try and understand what that meant. So what this does is it looks over the course of 3 years to show what that trend looks like. So why did we do this? Frankly, because the billing system caused an erosion of trust from our customers, and this is a step in trying to rebuild that trust so that when someone says, I don't understand my bill, we have a tool that can go down to the individual bill level and look at that old data, the new data, combine it together, understand the trend, and make sure the trend isn't showing something that's off of what we would expect. Now, this isn't going to get to the detail of 1,000 gallons here, 1,000 gallons there from a month perspective, but it is going to show if there is some kind of a dramatic difference that we can't explain through the chart and the normalization of the trend over time, to then tell us when we need to dig in and look a little bit more closely at this. So it's a powerful tool that we will use well into the future because we think this does help with billing transparency, but it's frankly in direct response to the challenge of implementing that billing system last year, and we want to come back with steps to help to rebuild that trust in what the customer sees in their bill. And this we think is a pretty powerful tool to do that.
When is this going to be rolled out? Like you said, next week or this month?
I think we'll look for a month or so from now because we'll need some training from the Hazen staff for our billing staff. And it's another tool that they'll have available for them, but we do need to provide them some training.
Okay, I have a question that's kind of related to at least being able to see that, a customer wasn't billed for water. Embarrassingly, I admit that we have not paid for water, have not been charged for water since November of last year. And we realized that our meter was not, when they went to replace it, it was down too deep. And we called you guys and had them come and fix it and get it connected. And they said they've run into that issue of it being really deep and, not being able to do the connection, I guess, when the people that we paid to put in the new systems. And I'm just wondering how, once this is rolled out, will you be able to see if there's other customers that have gone months, almost a whole year, without paying for water?
Yes, I think we can drill down in the tool to be able to do that and identify those customers.
Yeah, part of what these, and this is and this is one of the great things about Power BI as a platform is it allows us to drill deeper into questions when they do come up to try and figure out what the issue might be. So if you look at the example that's up there right now, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you see how it's 5,000, this is in the 2024 timeframe, it's 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. Sometimes when we see an estimated value, which means a meter sender has been offline, it'll be a similar amount, and then there's a correction amount that makes up for the overestimation or the underestimation at the time that the sender is replaced. And so this is where the overhaul of the meter systems to get it modernized, to get all the units in place, to get the meters modernized and reading accurately should eliminate a lot of that estimated bill that's out there as well, because what will happen is someone will be underpaying and then they'll have a spike to make up the difference because it's been 6 months or 9 months since it's taken a read. Same thing, we might overestimate and then be providing a substantial credit over a couple months. All of these system improvements should make it much more predictable month to month, so that exactly the issue that you're describing will come to the forefront much faster, and we can get them fixed much faster.
I have a couple questions. I appreciate the transparency and building back the trust of customers that have struggled recently with billing. So 2 questions. Is this information ever going to be available on our actual bill to kind of to track the trend of our usage on our bill? Because I know there's limited information there now, but will we ever see something similar to this on our individual bill?
So currently on the bill, I mean, all the charges are listed out. So that would be that upper.
But the
graphic.
annual sort of trend data.
Yeah,
like
so
you're
the
saying
annual
can go back 3 years, right?
Yeah, so our bill won't go back 3 years. It's
Yeah.
a 13-month graph that is what is shown on the bill. But we would be able to provide the 3-year look back.
At least the 13
At
months,
least the
because I
13
don't
months
think we
should
see
be-
that right now. Can you confirm
You should
that?
see it right now.
Oh, we can.
Mhm.
Okay. I'll have to pay attention to my
Okay.
bill next month.
If not, give us a call.
The second question that I had, and I appreciate that this is going to be used as a customer service tool, because I think that's great, whenever somebody calls in and they can just look directly at this and kind of pinpoint. I mean, it's really obvious what happened here. My question is, I'm a little familiar with PowerPoint, or Power BI, but not that great. Is there any way for a customer service representative, an employee, to go in and make, like, if they pinpoint, they've researched, they've investigated why there's an anomaly here and have explained it to the customer, is there any way within Power BI to note that for that particular month? Or is it just the data that's being fed from that? Are there ways to make some notations and help customer service?
There is a commenting functionality where only users that have access to the dashboard can see those comments.
Okay. So they wouldn't, like, if somebody called and had an issue and it was resolved and that same person called back and continued to complain about it, you could review some notes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll just add to that. That's probably not necessarily something we would do with this tool, but in the billing system, we have the ability to put comments in. And our customer service staff does. Every time a customer calls, we note the time of the call, the reason for the call, any changes or adjustments that were made as a result of that call are included in the billing system. So it's really, there'd be 2 places to look. I mean, this is really just for that visual representation of the history of water consumption and billing for a customer, but then notes and adjustments would be in the main billing system.
So just to be clear, this is an internal tool. This is not something that we're going to, push out to everyone. This is for internal analysis. Ironically, the issue that caused the most challenge on the bill when we made the conversion was the graph. That was actually what created the most significant of the challenges. And so we'll still have that now that we're building data and the graph is showing up properly. People will be able to track it over a year perspective, and then they can call, and then we can dive in more deeply and more easily with this. And the last thing I will say is that if there is any type of issue where we see an anomaly or we see an issue of an underbilling, and and then there's a significant charge because someone wasn't billed for a period of time, we will always work with our customers on payment plans and something that helps them not have the shock of a large hit from a cost perspective, to work with them so that if there is an issue with the billing or if there's an issue with their payment of the bill, we continually will always work with our customers to try and find the easiest, best solution for them to get caught up over time. And we have a number of those that are in place right now, payment plans with customers that have had various degrees of challenge with paying their bill. It is always a service that's available to any user, any customer, depending on their situation.
Right. Sounds good. Given the time, maybe we should go ahead and move on to water efficiency plan.
Thanks, Chair. I'm going to turn this one over to Artem Karachi, who's with our Business Solutions, and he will run through where we're at from a water efficiency plan update.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Artem Krigechi. I'm a utilities data analyst, and I'm here to present on the water efficiency plan. So, first off, what is the water efficiency plan? It was a plan that was approved by the city back in 2023 to promote water conservation and efficiency throughout the city's activities and systems. Part of the plan requires us to provide biennial updates to Water Sewer Board on the progress of the plan, along with updates to the Sustainability Commission as well. As you can see, the water efficiency plan comprises of 4 categories, and those categories touch on a number of the categories found in the strategic plan for the city itself. To cover the categories of the water efficiency plan in a bit more detail, they're broken out into foundational, technical improvements and incentives, rules and ordinances, and customer education. Furthermore, the foundational categories are broken up into three subcategories: metering and billing, water loss control, staffing, and planning. And as I go through the annual updates from 2023 to 2025, you'll notice numbers associated with each of the program components in the water efficiency plan with each of the tasks or programs that have been accomplished. But before that, I'll touch on the implementation process of the plan. So in 2023, a team was established between utilities and city manager office staff, comprising of Tasha Neal, Stephanie Ellis, myself, and Mel England. The way that the plan is implemented is we meet monthly to discuss, assign, and look at ways to facilitate execution of the plan's components. So starting chronologically with 2023, I've outlined what we've accomplished thus far. Looking at the first item, number 19 of the water efficiency plan, it's turf replacement and garden in a box program starting. And what that is essentially a program that promotes the use of native plant species for the sake of reducing water use and promoting water conservation. Some other components of the plan that were implemented in 2023 included the valve replacement program being kicked off, and then a partnership with the Colorado School of Mines for installation of the direct potable reuse trailer at SPR. And to quickly note your attention on the bottom bracket there, that is across all years. Those are the accomplishments that happened throughout the year, essentially. So distribution system maintenance, reporting to leadership on a quarterly basis, updates to the utilities website, use of some certain promotional materials, and social media posts that occurred throughout the year. With 2024, we saw the utilities department become partners with the EPA WaterSense organization, which is essentially a part of the EPA that promotes conservation of water through education and promotional materials that we've used in our public outreach events such as Neighborhood Nights. We began the advanced metering infrastructure project in June of 2024, swapping out the obsolete aged electromechanical meters with the AMI meters. The billing system went live in August. And then we also had Colorado Water Loss Initiative water loss audit staff training. And that water loss is something that the department performs on an annual basis to ensure that we are keeping track of our source and produced water. Going into 2025, we kicked off our asset management program at the Allen Water Treatment Plant. The energy audit report was completed for water fixtures in the municipal buildings. Bates Logan Park irrigation landscaping upgrades were completed, which included upgrades and replacements of an irrigation system that was 40 years old, along with installation of bicycle courses and bocce ball courts in lieu of, I believe it was 50,000 square feet of bluegrass, helping with less water usage. Then as of June of 2025, we had almost 75% of our metering infrastructure system replaced with AMI. And then we began City Ditch Reach 1 construction in July and have had 109 new valves installed since that 2023 valve replacement project kickoff start date. And we wanted to include a slide specifically centering around the customer education portion of the water efficiency plan, since the team has done work extensively, specifically in that category. We've updated the webpage with landscaping tips, tips for water use and water efficiency. We've used bill stuffers that touched on water efficiency topics throughout the 2 years of this plan's execution. And then a number of other educational materials have been provided to our customers, including the EPA's Water Sense, Water Wise on the Green, and Rain Barrel Workshop. And one particular comment that was I thought relevant to include was a customer who really enjoyed the lawn replacement program and appreciated the incentivization of using landscaping that was native and water conscious, essentially. So moving on to our future focus for the next 2 years, we're looking at finalizing the AMI project with upgrades being done for the entirety of the system. And again, just to reiterate, these are components of the water efficiency plan as approved by the city in 2023. What those numbers in front of each task or program indicate. We will consider evaluating the rate structure, offering limited large customer water audits, implementing metering of unmetered customers, and then we'll look at various items as it regards code changes for the city. And with that, is there any questions?
I have a question, if
Sure.
you mind. So is there like, when you were talking about those incentives, I know there are programs that they, like, with electricity, there are funds that is given to people so they can purchase their, we don't have funds for that, right?
There's incentives offered through the Garden in a Box program, but we don't have specific incentives through the utilities department that promote, efficient water use at this time.
Because I think I saw some, certain percentage of a square footage, if you turn it to Zeroscape, there is like, I think it's a federal fund that they give you money so that they can put toward that. But the city of Inglewood doesn't have that.
Correct.
So when you were gardening with this stuff, these are like the obligations of the city, correct? Like the using plants that are natural to Colorado and they just low water usage with them. You're talking about what the city is planting, correct?
Both the city is planting such plants and looking at the use of such plants in its landscaping operations, but we also have outreach for customers such as that Garden in a Box replacement program, where we do promote the use of native plant species for personal use. Correct.
That's nice. Thank you.
The water efficiency plan is something that's required for us to submit to the Colorado Water Conservation Board. And we had one that was in place. And if you recall, a few years ago, we updated it. It was a few years out of date. But what the water efficiency plan does is it programmatically tries to educate and inform and drive better water conservation for our customers and the city as a whole. So it is geared towards all aspects of water use for the utility and all customers.
Thank you so much.
Quick question. Are we leveraging Power BI for some of the metrics that we potentially can, pull out from the billing system? What I mean by that is like Garden in the Box. Any customer or any citizen that has signed up for tearing out their turf or doing Garden in the Box, just seeing how their water efficiency has improved, pre to post. I think that would be something that would be, at least for the sustainability board, maybe other members of council or the citizens at large, to see what that improvement is, pre and post.
Yeah, that's an excellent suggestion that we can build on both of the last two items to combine them to report out, success of the program. So yes, absolutely, we can look at doing that.
Can I ask a question as compared with the conversation last night about the more water you use, it doesn't cost you less. So if we get everybody in the city of Englewood to use all these water efficiency programs, does that mean our utility department will go away?
So no. Thank you for the question, and thank you for no. So we still all need water, right? So I mean, what we're trying to drive is a lower peak for that water. Much of this is centered on exterior use of water. So I think, if you take a step back and look at the way Englewood developed out versus the way some more, modern or more newer communities in the front range have developed out. Many newer communities in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s were bluegrass everywhere. And so tons of bluegrass, big, large lot development, bluegrass. Englewood, just by nature of how it developed, we have pretty small lots. We don't have significant, exterior water use. And so even if we do implement water conservation, the overall impact, because we just fundamentally have less bluegrass in this city than other cities in the Front Range, should be less of a shock to the overall system. So yes, we want to drive water efficiency, and we don't ever expect it to, fully replace the need for exterior watering.
So on some of these newer developments also, because they have to purchase water from somewhere, correct? So are they limited? Is that why they tend to be more water efficient?
Well,
also?
So external, yeah. So external to the city, yes, that's true. There's many communities that when a new development wants to come in, they have to bring the water with them. Englewood has a really strong water portfolio, and so what we do is when a new user comes in and redevelops and increases the overall demand, whether it be through more dense units or through more irrigation or whatever, they have to buy into the water rights portfolio. That's what that connection fee is, and that's how they pay their proportionate share to buy into the system that all of us as residents are owners of, because of the work that was done back in the 40s and 50s.
And just one other question. So if water becomes much more scarce, then what happens to the connector, well, not necessarily the connector districts, the districts where we're selling water to them, and we don't have enough water for everyone? Is there a way we are careful not to overextend our water, even
Yes.
what we sell?
So the answer is yes. And so we look at what we have a strategy plan from a water resources and a water rights portfolio perspective that we look at. And what we don't look at one particular scenario, we look at a band of possible scenarios. And so we have like a worst case of where it's, there's low yields from the mountains, there's low snowpack runoff, what that means for us and the timing of our water rights, and then how it impacts the water that we can sell to Highlands Ranch Water, which is primarily who we sell water to. And so if we reduce the amount of water that we sell to Highlands Ranch Water, what happens is the way that agreement's structured is now for the next several years, the cost that they pay goes, the amount that they have to pay the higher cost on goes down. And so we balance all these pieces of making sure to supply them the appropriate amount of water, make sure we have enough water for our city, and then also plan for the future, these possible scenarios, so that first and foremost, the city of Englewood customers are whole and have the water that we need as a community.
Thank you very much.
Right, that might be it. I think you had one more topic.
Yep, just very briefly, last month I had talked about we were doing a meter replacement for our customers. I just wanted to report back that meter replacement went successfully, and we think the issue is resolved. And so just wanted to report back that that occurred.
Great, thank you for that update. Anything from the board? Floor is open before we adjourn tonight. All right, hearing none. Hearing nothing, then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you.